is not a bad word. I don't know. Mahal ko kayo. Okay. I'm gonna go sleep. Nah, not sure. I'm gonna go watch a movie. So guys, thank you for the live. I really appreciate all of your message. I really can't answer to all of your message because it's a lot, but I read them all. And good night or good morning to Philippines. Have a good night. I love you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for making me happy every day because you make me happy. Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Matt again. I'm still here, stranded in Davao on the island of Mindanao in the country of the Philippines. I'm down in the southern Philippines now, and right now we are under a quarantine and a shelter-at-home order. In fact, it's becoming more and more strict all the time. Now, to be able to go out, I actually have to have a pass, a food and medicine pass, in order to go out and get any supplies I need or to get any medical needs that I have. So, right now, I've had a lot of time to stay here and watch TV. We get channels from all over the world here, French, German, five things that I believe that the Filipinos are doing better than the Americans during this COVID-19 pandemic. So, number one is I think the Filipinos are observing the stay-at-home rule much better than I see Americans doing that. Certainly in the states where they've been ordered to do so. Now, granted, New York is getting real serious about it, but I see in many other neighborhoods, and I've also read on the internet lots of stories and seen pictures. There's a few public transportation jeepneys, as they call them, running around, and they have a couple of people in them, but the streets are almost empty. And those people that are there in public transportation are moving up and down the streets that they're not supposed to be out on the streets. And so they're taking it very seriously. On the other hand, it sounds to me like Americans feel like stay at home means spend most of your time at home, but you can go out for a drive or you can go out to the park and exercise. That Filipinos are taking a lot more seriously than Americans are. Number two, when I go out on the street here, I see that about 95% of Filipinos are all wearing face masks. And
Courtesy ng
I
ibig
look
sabihin.
at pictures of what's going on in the U.S., and I see a lot of people out without masks on. And granted, I know there's some indecision in Washington as to whether they should order people to have face masks or not. But I tell you, so you don't want to spread your germs around. So having something cover a little bit when you talk, that you are not going to spread potentially that. Reminds you not to touch your nose or your mouth with your hands while you're outside. You can touch a doorknob, you can touch a railing, you can lean against. The third thing that I think Filipinos are doing better than Americans is social distancing. When I do see Filipinos out and about, they're getting nowhere near each other. And if you do happen to go into to check out or to order something, there are strips of tape that they put on the floor now, 6 feet apart, to make sure if there's not enough room, if they've got a certain number of people that they're allowing into the store, you have to wait outside at intervals until. I see pictures of Americans out standing there talking face to face with each other, and somehow it's as though there are people in the U.S. that just don't believe that this is as infectious a disease as it is. And right now, from everything I'm seeing, it sounds like they're talking about the potential for 100,000 people or more dying from COVID-19 just in the U.S. And that if that hasn't scared you to be serious about this enough to get into practicing these things, that's just crazy. I think that the Filipinos have also been very good about avoiding hoarding. I've seen so many pictures from the U.S., particularly as the first stay-at-home orders came, that people were going out and emptying the shelves. Certainly to hoard, they just can't buy that much stuff. You know, just yelling in, "Hey, how are you doing? You know, do you need any?" Back down, and by the time I got back down there in about 2 minutes, she was already handing out to their friends or their siblings. They share automatically. It's part of their DNA here, and I've always been impressed with that, where we see Americans, and I go back to the last point, hoarding here and not thinking about the other person that needs something. And so I encourage you, people who are shut-ins, that are in retirement, talk and let them tell you about what's going on in their life, and let them hear about what's going on in your life, and spending 15 or 20 minutes on the phone with somebody. Right now, if you're at home, you probably have time to do that. Another fun thing is do selfies of you doing something really cute. They had their kid take a that was a neat little homemade card that you took the time to make for somebody, and particularly an older friend will feel really, really good about that. Or you can take a picture, send it to, I think, Shutter, and mail it from their facility to doing to help one another. So those are the things that I would share with you, the 5 things that I think that Filipinos are doing better than Americans. I still love America, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's always good when you can learn from other cultures about things that you might be able to do better. I miss you all. I hope that you are taking care of each other and taking care of yourselves. Stay healthy. Take the COVID-19 pandemic seriously, okay? And I hope to see you all soon.
To me, like, why hire people in the Philippines? How do I do that? I'm going to show you the tool that I use to find great people, and I'm going to teach you exactly why I hire people there.
I'm excited.
So I've actually been hiring people in the Philippines for 9.5 years, and one of the first people that I hired, he's been with me 8.5 of those years. No, it's been 9 years now. So one of those people has been with me 9 years, and I just met him last November when I went to the Philippines for the first time. And I'm hiring 3 more people tonight. I did a trial with 7 different people this week, doing a trial video editing project. 3 of them really shine, and so I can commit to 14. So excited to see.
Oh my goodness. So you were doing this like before it was cool. Like lately, the last 3 years, I've seen a lot of people doing it, but 9 years ago, that was pretty new stuff back then.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Ferriss wrote the book The 4-Hour Workweek, and he introduced that concept to me of outsourcing, but it still seems so foreign to me. Had to throw that pun in there. It really did. It like, I applied a lot of his principles of efficiency and working smarter, not harder, and whatnot, but the outsourcing I never really applied. And then a good friend of mine, John Jonas, he's become a good friend now. He taught me how to backcountry ski this year. I listened to an audio of his. I remember I was driving to the airport, going to pick up my mother-in-law, and I learned why the Philippines and how easy it was to find somebody to hire. And so within like 36 hours, I hired my first full-time employee. And within a few months, I was up to 10. And I had a web design company. And
so tell me why the Philippines instead of some other country out there. There's a lot of countries that, I guess they have cheap labor. A lot of, if you see telecommuting companies, they're always based in like India. So tell me a little bit why about the Philippines.
Yeah, so we have a lot of telephone stuff, India. A lot of manufacturing is China or Indonesia or Taiwan. Why the Philippines? Well, a lot of reasons. Like if you hire somebody on your team from a place like India, they're great people, they're very skilled, but they're also very entrepreneurial. They they end up becoming your competition.
Ah.
And another reason is there's just a difference in mindset and culture and like language, and so communication is kind of a challenge. Even when they understand English really well, and this is what I was taught. I went straight to the Philippines because I was taught this principle, and I have experimented with it when I've used like Fiverr and stuff.
Exactly.
But when you communicate and you say, okay, do you understand? And they say, yes, I heard you. Like, did you hear words coming out of my mouth? That's what they're hearing you have.
Yeah, and you're like, did you really understand the entire project and what's required?
Yeah, so in the Philippines, English is their second language, but it's a high second. It's taught in every school. All their signage is in English. They watch English, spoken television, Americanized television mostly, and they really understand English. And then there's been a big American influence over the history of the Philippines, and so culture is kind of similar.
Oh, that's awesome! I had no idea.
Yeah. Is it affordable to hire people in the Philippines? Yes, Julie, it is.
Yes.
It's about 1/10.
Really?
1/10 of the United States.
Wow.
So if I were going to hire somebody here full time and expect to pay them about $5,000 a month, plan on paying somebody in the Philippines about $500 per month full time.
Nice. So is that a really good wage for them? Are they looking for these jobs because they're like, wow, that's more than they would have gotten regularly out there?
It's a really good question. And when I was there in November, I vlogging style was asking each of my team members, and I said, hey, you have worked for me for a while. Can you tell me, do you think that I'm taking advantage of you for paying you the amount that I do to work for me full time? And they all said no, and they all gave me a combination of 3 different reasons why. They say it's a great opportunity. I wouldn't be able to have this good of an income if I worked for another job. Unless I worked in the heart of Manila, I might be able to make more money. But then they said the second benefit was transportation. Traffic is crazy in Manila, like hours. So you have to pay for the transportation, whether it's your own car and gas or public transportation, the time it takes. So they say, because we don't have to commute, this is amazing. I get to work from home. I get to control my schedule. So they said the transportation and commute, all of them were mentioning that, which was kind of surprising to me. They mentioned opportunity, and they also, I think the other word that they mentioned pretty consistently was that it was a blessing in their life. And it made me feel really good.
Awesome.
Like, I've definitely felt the benefit to me. It is such a blessing to me to be able to hire such skilled, capable, wonderful, genuine, warm people and pay such an amazing price. And I'm starting to feel the emotion as I describe this story. So when I met all my team together for the first time, it was at a fancy restaurant that I was treating them to. And they all kind of came in one by one, and then I'm sitting there, and at the time I had 10 people on my team, so it was like 5 here, 5 here, and they were sending love my way. They were like, we appreciate you so much. And I didn't expect that. I felt like, okay, we're having a business meeting. Is it going to be awkward? Are we going to get along? These were my concerns. We all got along great, and I just felt so appreciated. I'm just like, wow, I've made a big impact in all these lives. I provide their livelihood. Wow. So anyway, kind of a long answer to your question there, but it's a great, they wouldn't accept the job if it weren't a benefit to them.
Oh yeah.
And it's also nice when they do amazing things for you. You can give them bonuses, you can give them pay raises, and stuff like that too. I've got a guy that's been on my team for about 4 years that he's just really shown up in a major way, really shown a lot of dedication and loyalty to the company. I pay him about $1,000 a month.
Nice.
So, and it's obviously it's something that he asked for, and I said, you know what? Absolutely. I actually gave him more than he asked for, but I gave him more responsibility too.
Well, I guess that way, right? So another question I had was about the technology involved in having people work for you overseas. Like in the Philippines, do they have high-speed internet? Do they have access to computers and things that they're going to need to be able to work on the projects you give them?
So the answer is yes, and there's plenty of people I'm sure that don't, but there's hundreds of thousands of people that do have great internet, great computers, and they have college educations in areas that what we are looking for, like computer or marketing or different degrees that they have. Everyone's educated. Everyone that I come across has a college degree. Like, there are disadvantages. Sometimes they'll have power outages. They have hurricanes and typhoons and flooding. Okay, my assistant that I just I'm like, okay. And in November I went and